Hey guys, how's it going today? My name is Scott Unruh, and I'm on a mission to find the best everyday carry knife for under $50. So today I'm going to do a little review on the KaBar Dozier knife. It's one that's gotten some pretty good reviews, and it is pretty darn affordable. I picked this bad boy up for about, it was just 20 and some change. Got it in from Amazon here just a couple days ago. So I'm gonna take a close look at it, tell you a little bit about it, and we're gonna put it through some tests to see if it's worth a darn. It comes in a bunch of different colors, anywhere from black on black to blaze orange. I ended up getting kind of the olive drab color. This is a Zytel handle material, so basically it's just kind of a cheap injection molded plastic. It's got a pretty decent grip to it, but it definitely does feel cheap. Feels kind of similar to ones you would get in Walmart, but as you'll see here in a second, it's a little bit better than what you'd find in Walmart for sure. Before we pop the blade open, just another feature, we've got a pocket clip here, and you can take this off and basically just flip it around so you can carry it on either side of your pocket if you like. And it does also have a reversible thumb stud. So you see the stud is, let me back up there. The stud is on this side, and you can unscrew it and put it on the opposite side. So some initial impressions that kind of make you feel like, oh yeah, this knife is pretty cheap. If you can see right there, you can see where the injection mold was done there. But overall, handle construction for a cheap knife, I mean, come on, we're paying just 20 and some change for this, so you would expect a cheap handle, right? So now let's pop it open, and you kind of really have to work to get it open. I mean, it's not like moving Congress by any means, but it is it's not a smooth open. All right, let's take a look at the blade. This is AUS 8A steel. Back it up a little bit. And as far as initial sharpness goes, I mean, the knife is sharp. There's no doubt about that, but it's not like, holy crap, this is super sharp like you would get on a more expensive or better knife. But for a cheap knife, it's got a pretty darn good edge on it to start out with. The blade length overall is 3 inches, and the overall length of the knife is 7.25 inches. So, initial comfort, it fits the hand. It's not overly comfortable by any means, but it'll get the job done if you're just needing a cheap and quick knife. If it's something that you're going to be carrying around for ever and ever and ever, and you're wanting some comfort with it, you might look for a better knife ergonomically, but for what it is, it works just fine. Let's see, just kind of a standard lock back. It got the button there, you can open and close it. First test is the paper test. So here we go. You know what? She'll cut. Kinda. Seems like it depends on what section of the blade I start with. There's some spots just right in here that almost like it's got a little bit of a burr left on it, maybe. Yeah, just right in there's a little bit less sharp than the rest of it. So if I start forward of that, it cuts just fine, but if I start back of that, it doesn't. So I'd say a little bit of an inconsistent sharpen, but basically if I start from here up, she cuts like a charm. If I start from here down, it gets wrapped. Alrighty, so for our little fruit cut test, we're going to do 3 different things. First, we're going to just do a standard cut to see how well it would do in just a normal situation. Then we are going to do a chop test to see just how well it'll chop down on it. Obviously, you're probably not going to be using this knife for chopping, but hell, why not find out? And then we'll have a little bit of fun. We'll do a slash test. So I'll have this thing elevated and just give it a good slash. See what happens there. See if it'll cut clean through, or see if it'll just hit it like a baseball bat. So without further ado, let's do the slice test first. See, it just doesn't open very smooth, but that's all right. So, okay. So as you would probably expect, it cuts just fine. It doesn't really have any trouble there. Let's see about this chop test. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Okay. It looks like it cut through pretty fine. Let's see if I can do this without sending it across the world. Woo! All right, so it did slice right through there. All right, guys, so next we're going to take it through a little bit of a durability abuse test. First thing we're going to do is we're going to do some slashes across some antler. Antler is great handle material, but it is horrible on a blade. It will just annihilate it. And then next we're going to do a stab test into a block of wood, see how well this thing holds up. And as always, when you're about to be stupid, do so safely. Wear gloves and safety glasses. So we'll see how it goes. All right, here we go. Definitely doesn't open very easy when you have gloves on. So, all right, 5 slashes. It still feels sharp. Let's see if it'll cut something. I got a little sticky note here. Still cuts just fine. Maybe I can be a little more aggressive, see how that works. Well, those were definitely more aggressive slashes. I whacked it pretty hard and drove the blade in. Doesn't feel quite as sharp. Let's see if it'll slice this time. Still nice and sharp. All right, now for 5 hard stabs. Let's see if I can do this without gashing my hand open. Here we go. Let's just flex a little bit, see how she does there. See if it bends the tip or anything. Okay, so it does look like it bent the tip a little bit. I mean, I'm sure it'll still open and close just fine, yeah. Yeah, you can kind of see it. I'm sorry, I'm not getting it very zoomed in very well. You can kind of see it. It just bent ever so slightly. I wasn't very nice to it, so I'm not going to hold that against it. So it did go through the test pretty darn well. I mean, I made some pretty good stabs into that wood. Scarred that antler pretty darn well as well, and it held up a lot better than I thought it would. You know, the blade is still pretty sharp. Obviously, it cut through the paper pretty easily. We'll slice it through some fruit again just to make sure. And I mean, just an ever so slight bend. Yeah, I can feel the bend a little bit with my fingers as I go along there. But once again, you're not going to be doing that too terribly much to your blade, so that's not a horrendous knock on it. All right, ignore the portion that I ate. Okay, so let's see. It still just doesn't open very well, but let's see if it'll cut through the fruit just as easily as it did before. No, not quite as easily. I mean, it still does, but it doesn't do it as well as it did before. That's for darn sure. I mean, let me see if I can. It's definitely not where it was before, that's for sure. But I mean, you can kind of see these cuts are not near as clean as they were. see if we can just resharpen this one easily. And if we can resharpen it easily, you know what? No harm, no foul there. All right, so I got a chance to actually give this bad boy a good field test. Had to go replace a sprinkler head today, and I gotta really give it a decent in the field test. So basically, I dug a probably 6 to 8 inch hole around the sprinkler head, and I also had to cut the other part of this pipe. It was, you know, off on here somewhere. Had to cut that down to size, kind of, you know, had to get it down there and cut it down to size with that. So it actually went through that pretty darn well, quite a bit better than I thought it would, because this is pretty good solid hard plastic. I am curious to see how sharp the blade still is after the abuse I put it through. So I'll do another little paper test. See if it does. Yeah, it's nope. Alrighty guys, so I went ahead and cleaned it up a little bit. It's, you know, you can definitely see some scratches and stuff of that nature on it. Yeah, I definitely took it for a ride today. But it seems like it's held together just fine during the whole thing. So I spent a couple minutes just running it through this little kitchen knife 2-stage sharpener, and I mean, it's a big test of whether a knife is really great in my opinion or not, is how easy you can resharpen it after you've used it, because I'm a guy who likes to use my knives and they get dull. So anyways, let's see if it'll do the little paper test again. Yeah? Maybe it's not that good. Wow, that is pretty bad. Alright guys, well, since it didn't really sharpen up well with this bad boy, I went to just one of these Lansky sharpening sets, and it ended up sharpening up pretty nicely. So wasn't quite as easy, but it took about 15 minutes with that, and it's cutting quite nicely now. Something that I really liked about this and really impressed me, probably more so than all of my other knives, or at least most of them, is just how well this knife carries in the pocket of gym shorts. So I was wearing gym shorts all day today, and I was doing a lot of work today. I did not notice this knife in my pocket unless I felt for it specifically. So that's pretty darn cool, especially in gym shorts. Usually when I carry a knife in gym shorts, it is very apparent that it's there, and can be somewhat annoying. Once again, the handle is pretty grippy, but it's definitely not overly comfortable. It's not uncomfortable, but it's not super duper ergonomically awesome by any means. And the handle does feel cheap. I am very confident that it would not handle hammering on stuff very well, you know, using it as a hammer like you could use for more of like a metal knife. So I didn't even attempt that, because I felt like I'd probably break it if I did. Some other things, you know, on a lot of my other knives, I'm able to do things like open paint cans, things of that nature with the different contours of the knife. This knife does not seem too terribly utilitarian as far as other uses besides cutting. I mean, you could probably use the blade for maybe like a screwdriver or something of that nature on some screws, but it doesn't seem like it's got too terribly many more applications than just a standard pocket knife. Overall, I would say for the money, this knife is pretty darn decent. Not the end-all be-all EDC for under 50 bucks by any means, but still pretty nice. All right, guys, thank you very much.